people really, they hear one thing that Joe Blow said, some dude at the gym, like, if I'm eating anything under my maintenance, I'm just going to immediately get weak.
Yeah,
and
that's just a loser mindset.
They
dude.
hear it once and they believe it forever.
Yes. It's a cope.
It's a cope.
We're back for episode 1000.
No, we did 1,000.
We probably did. If you splice it up into 5-minute episodes, we've done 1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my thought on this, okay? I've been having these conversations with clients about huge mismanaged expectations, like very poor expectations. I think just because they don't understand around the objective of training when dieting. So you, as a competitive bodybuilder who's done 13 shows, right? I want to know from you. I have my thoughts on this, and I'm going to share that and like basically the tips that I've given them to be like, oh, this is how you got to look at it. It'll make it way easier for you if you actually understand the point of training, the point of exercise while you're losing fat. So for you, you've gone through 5 to 6 month preps multiple times, right? How do you look at working out? Like, what is the objective of working out when you're dieting for you?
The objective to working out while dieting is to maintain your muscle that you've built during the off season. So if you trained a certain way during the off season or during a build phase or during a bulk, whatever you want to call it, keep that muscle. You do the same thing.
Right.
You do not change your training at all. The only time you change training during bodybuilding is peak week.
What reason for it? To drop inflammation and stuff?
No, you do. You actually do like way more volume, but you just go way lighter. You do depletion workouts.
Gotcha. What's the goal there?
You're trying to deplete all the glycogen in your muscle.
Right. Gotcha.
It's totally just a pump. It's not heavy weight.
Mm-hmm.
It's light to medium, but it's like 4x20 when you were doing like 3x10 before.
And actually going heavy.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So that makes sense. So it's all about muscle maintenance. That's how I was describing it to clients, where I'm like, I think a lot of people have it in their heads where they think like, okay, I'm going into, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get fit. Right. And sometimes they conflate the two together, which is a mistake as well. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to diet. And then they go, cool, I'm going to crush the gym. And you're like, yes, you should. But what does that mean to you? And I think a lot of people look at it like, oh, crushing the gym means I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to build muscle.
Yeah.
My performance is going to go up every single week. And you're like, probably not going to happen. I don't think it's good to have this cope where you just assume you're going to suck at training while dieting. That's not good. That's not what I'm saying to do.
People will know they're on a diet phase and immediately they'll be like, I'm weaker.
Yeah.
It's just, I know I'm going to be weaker. So I'm just going to change it up. I'm going to go lighter weight, high rep because I'm weaker and I'm uncomfortable. My ego is uncomfortable that I'm weaker.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. Cause that's what happens is like a lot of my clients they will get very frustrated. They'll get very, very frustrated with like, I was able to do this weight last week. I was able to do this weight last month. I was able to get this many reps. It didn't feel good, blah, blah, whatever. And understandably, they're frustrated. And then I'm like, oh, you just need to adjust your expectations here. Because I think you're assuming that you should be getting a lot stronger and a lot more muscle than you think. And right now, we are dieting, which means we are, by definition, if we're doing it correctly and you're in a calorie deficit, you are actually at a deficient of energy.
Yeah.
Which means it's like you're just looking to hang on to that muscle, stimulate the muscle through hard training. And then the big focus is on whatever you got to do for caloric output. So my clients, we focus a lot on walking and then nutrition. Like that's the focus. Training is just there to like stimulate muscle, keep the muscle that we've built previously.
I think that if you're talking to a beginner, I don't like initially telling people like when they're like, okay, I'm on a cut, I'm going to build muscle when I go to the gym. I don't necessarily initially like telling them they're wrong, because then it just kills all motivation. And they're like, what do you mean I'm not going to gain any muscle when I'm training while I'm cutting, right? They just can't. So I'm just like, oh no, like we're going to go through, I use the word body recomposition a lot, right? So because when they're leaner, they have the illusion that they look bigger anyways. So then they feel like, oh, I've shaped up, right? Because they don't really care what is happening. They just care if they get results, right? I find it challenging for people that are more experienced and that have, say they've hired me, they've already done a few shows, or they've already been training for many, many years. And then I come in and give them, like, say, a new training style or just different from what they've been doing. And then they try to tell me that I'm wrong for their body, but they haven't even tried my way yet. Or, so that's one. Or another option where they are doing my style, but then I throw in like 3-second negatives. And the only way for them to do that is to lighten the weight. And they refuse to do that because of their ego.
Ego, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then,
I'm getting weaker if I drop the weight.
They're either sending me videos or they're posting on Instagram, and I message like, hey, that's not a 3-second negative. That was like maybe one. But they refuse to take the weight off because now the ego is there.
Yeah.
So they don't even know that they're holding themselves back. Because if they were to just lighten it, it's still going to be very hard.
Right.
Very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's done properly, right? So I have like problems. Those are problems I have in terms of, and then of course, then they go on a cut, immediately think they're going to be weaker. Already their ego's taking a hit. So
then they're expecting to lose.
Yes.
Right? And you're like, don't expect that either, but just soften your expectations.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, the more that people work with me, the more they get to a point where they're like, okay, I felt weaker this week, but like, I know that happens. That's when you're like, okay, like we're getting somewhere now.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, oh, you're expecting that some weeks you won't be as strong. And that's okay. That's normal.
Very
right?
normal.
Lots of things happen. Oh, your mom passed away on this day 3 years ago and you're like dealing with emotions. Yes, you're going to be weaker in the gym, and focus on that. Like focus on your family, right? There's a time and a place. So yeah, I agree with you. People have, it's all expectation issue.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
So if you can adjust it by actually explaining how this works, it's like, oh, you just need to understand like what the whole point of working out is in different phases. Like I don't actually, like what you said, I don't change my training much, if at all, when I go into a fat loss phase, but I change how I think about it.
Yep.
Because I'm going in, I'm like, okay, training now is not meant to build my physique because I'm now in a fat loss phase. Training is now meant to just support and maintain and preserve the current muscle that I've previously built with other phases when food was more present. Yeah. Right. And like once you understand that, it's way easier to actually go into a training session and be like, hey, I'm not attached to the weights. I'm not attached to the reps. I'm attached to the stimulus and effort. Like, did I get the right stimulus? Was it hard? Did I push myself? Did I have a lot of effort? Cool. Yeah. Like I'm good. I did what I needed to do. Yeah. Dial in my walking, dial in my nutrition, dial in my sleep lifestyle, everything else according to like my current goal in that fat loss phase. And it's like, you're winning. Like you are good. Yeah. You don't need a killer workout with PRs every single week to win.
No, and it's different for you now because what I've been noticing that you're doing is I haven't seen you. Now I don't know if you're doing this when we're not training at the same time, but like you're specifically, if I looked at your training right now, you're doing bodybuilding training. Like I have not seen you deadlift. I've seen you like do RDLs and stuff like that, but I haven't seen you squat other than like using an actual pendulum machine or something. So it's like, that's interesting too, because that supports your goals right now. Whereas like powerlifters, we know they will still even diet during a powerlifting prep to hit a certain weight class. And if they're in that right mindset, they will still even get stronger. Right. So it's like people really, they hear one thing that Joe Blow said, some dude at the gym, like if I'm eating anything under my maintenance, I'm just going to immediately get weak.
Yeah,
and
that's just a loser mindset.
They hear it once and they believe it forever.
Yes. It's a cope.
It's a cope because then they're like, oh, I have an excuse as to why I couldn't do the 90s this week or whatever it is, right? So it's just really like checking your ego at the door when you go in the gym and focusing on the goal at hand in the moment, because that goal will continuously evolve. I have a client who he's been with me since June of 2021. So what's that? 4 years now? Almost 4 years. And he's awesome. He's like basically family now, right? Like we talk, communication's great. The friendship has grown to a point where you can be really candid with one another. And we were talking yesterday and he's like, "Am I your longest client?" And I'm like, "No, actually not. I have one that's been with me longer." But then he sent me a photo. He's like, look at how I've evolved like through all these years, right? And he's grown. It's been very slow because there's been some health setbacks. But I'm gonna be that person right now. I don't know the point of the story.
Oh my goodness, you lost your chain of thought. Yeah.
Wait, it's in my
hilarious.
head. It's in my head.
This girl just rambles and she forgets.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
She just went too deep down the ramble road, you know? That's what happens when you go deep down the ramble road.
Everyone can relate to this right now. What were we talking about?
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't know. I wasn't listening. No, you're talking about your client, how he...
No, right before that. Leave your ego at the door.
Yeah, it was all about just managing the expectations and not like the fluctuations. Like a lot of people would they'll have fluctuating performance, right? Like, I could do the 90s and RDL this week.
I remember. Yeah. We were talking yesterday and I was like, he sent me that photo and he has grown and it's very noticeable. And I said, "Are you happy about it?" And he's like, "Well, yes and no." He's like, "Yes, because you can visually see my changes. But no, because I'm not satisfied yet." And I was like, that's like a better answer, because then it's like you still want to be able to check that ego and change, but you still can be proud of what you've already accomplished.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Wow, my brain was like, I lost it.
That's okay. We brought you back. Yeah, I think with what you said about beginners a little while back, like that to me, I don't actually think matters as much. Because like I won't tell them either that I don't work with a ton of beginners right now. I have in the past, but if someone's just starting out, I typically won't tell them either that like, hey, you're not going to build any muscle. Because here's the thing, they will. They're beginners. They're going to build muscle. They're going to build a lot of strength while dieting. They will. Who knows how long? A few weeks, few months, half a year, whatever it is. I don't know. And there's no real way to measure that like until you can actually look retrospectively back on it and you've been through it. But it's like, they're going to get newbie gains. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't need to tell them that. But like anyone who comes to me that is like my typical client avatar, where like they're coming to me and they're like, hey, I'm already training regularly. I've done 1 million diets in the past. I'm already eating healthy. I don't really like how I look. I'm not seeing progress and I feel like I'm wasting my time. And I kind of feel like crap, to be honest, but I feel like I'm doing all the things. It's like, those people, I'm like, yeah, you're probably going to make some quick early gains. You probably will. But like in the grand scheme of a 3 to 4 month fat loss phase, we're probably going to see like massive fluctuations with your performance. And that's fine. It's like you might have like 3 weeks straight where you hit the same weight or less. I don't care. How was your intensity? How was your effort? Like, did we hit all of our training volume that we needed to? How close were your sets to failure?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, were a good chunk of your sets, a vast majority of your sets taken to or close to failure? I think that matters way more. Because like what I'm doing right now with my own training is like what you said, I'm not doing squat, bench, and deadlift. Now, I'm not doing that. That would have actually been a smart thing. Like, pull that out. Someone could use that as a strategy. Like, if you regularly squat, bench, and deadlift, and you're like, I know my numbers, dude. I know all my rep PRs and where I should be to be like what I'm impressed by. So I'll know if I'm getting weaker. It's like, okay, cool. One of the strategies you could do is just stop squat, benching, and deadlifting, or do variations of those, so that you don't really know what your PRs are with those variations. I just took them out completely, but I didn't take them out because I was dieting. I took them out because I'm like, I don't want to do these. Yeah. I'm not motivated to do these. So I was like, I want to just do all bodybuilding stuff. So I did that for that reason. And I'm doing all these different bodybuilding movements. Most the vast majority of the movements I'm doing on different machines and whatnot, most because I'm using a lot of machines right now, some free weight, some cable stuff, I don't actually know what my PRs are on them, if I'm being honest.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, it does over time. Like, you should know that you should track progression, but like, I realize that this might not be optimal, which is fine, but it works fine for me, especially when you're looking through the lens of the overarching objective here during a fat loss phase with my workouts is to preserve muscle. So to preserve muscle, we just need adequate training volume, and we need sets taken to or close to failure. I'm doing that, so I'm good, right? When I'm out of the fat loss phase in the next like month or so, when I get out of that fat loss phase and I transition into like my reverse and get back up to maintenance and start pushing food, I'm like, yeah, I should be like tracking progressions in some way to know like, oh yeah, I'm able to like do more weight. Now, does that mean I hit PRs every week? No, but like I should see a trend month to month, or at least quarter to quarter on most of my stuff, you know? But like right now, I'm not terribly concerned about that. I'm like, I swap out a lot of exercises for different things now, especially like training up here. I'm trying all different like
so many
fun
machines.
stuff. Yeah, so I'm like, I'll try different things. I tried the Cybex Eagle seated leg extension machine today. I've probably done that in the past once, maybe. I don't remember, but like I probably have. But like it's effectively a new machine for me. So I'm like, I have no idea what I can do for a set of 20 on that, or 10. Yeah. I don't know. So I just did 3 hard sets. I pushed it damn close to failure. You know, like I'm fine. I'm good. My quads got the stimulus that they need to preserve the muscle that I previously built in phases leading up to this. Like that's all you can do.
And you just did that because I wanted the machine you were on.
Yeah,
he was a very good husband today. Let me have my and even that one's like slanted.
Yeah, so here's what actually happened. I was on the seated Atlantis leg extension machine. Sam walks over and says, hey, can I share it? And I said, yeah, if you do fast sets. And then she goes, nope, I'm not going to do fast sets. I'll just go somewhere else. I was like, okay, no worries. And then I was like, you know what? You can just take it. Take it. And then she's like, all right, fine. Nice. So she took it. She effectively just barged her way in and took it over, which is fine.
I asked and I was already leaving.
Yeah.
You offered.
I know.
And then I said, okay, if he's offering, I have to come take it.
Here's what I'm getting to. I'm the winner in this situation because the Cybex seated leg extension machine is way better. The Atlantis moves well. Like it's a well-designed machine. It's good. Like Atlantis is good. They make good exercise equipment. That Cybex seated leg extension machine was way better.
This is something that people don't talk about. Like you only hear it on like maybe like super deep bodybuilding podcast, but like different brands of equipment. Because
bodybuilders care basically.
Yeah. But some people care.
Yeah.
That want to like.
Yeah, it's fun to
at least feel good in a machine because not every person will feel good in every machine.
No, like a lot of the Good Life machines kind of are trash.
They're all
to
like
be honest.
hammer. Though like the
most of the hammer
strength
stuff I do not like, man.
Yeah, the only one is the seated plate loaded row. Just the row where you're seated.
Oh yes,
that's their best machine. That used to be my favorite exercise.
Yeah, because even like the low row and the high row that they do, they're like, you got to lean into them. They're kind of not.
And the low row, yeah, it's not quite right.
It's made by, it seems like it's one of those machines that's made by someone who's like, they understand the theory of exercise, but they haven't done it themselves.
And and I feel like they also just are like, okay, what's the average human height and weight?
That's what I mean.
And then they just make it, and it's like, this doesn't fit me at all. Because for us, I think I have longer femurs than you. Because I noticed when I got in the leg extension, I was like, oh, this almost feels too short of a distance. So it's like, but then with you, your torso, I think, is bigger.
Could be.
So then that's why we'd have to change positions of the machine if we're sharing it anyways. So it's like, I was interested into being like, maybe I should get a training partner, but they'd have to be very similar strength to me and very similar like size.
Yeah, you got to have the right fit.
Right? Because like working out with Vince the other day, we had to change stuff because he's got like a foot on me and it's different, right?
Yeah.
So,
so going back to like the the entire objective of like, what is the point of working out during a fat loss phase? I have my list. What is your list of the things that you think you need to like optimize? Like, what are the things that you got to address to make sure that you are preserving muscle going into a fat loss phase?
Number one is and I really sucked at this for years, always do a warm up, no matter if it's a growing phase or a
Why does
cutting
that help
phase,
with preserving muscle?
because it's gonna allow your body to work optimally.
How?
Because it's gonna, like, for myself, I struggle with a lot of T-spine tightness and mobility issues.
Mhm.
So if I'm just going in and working out, I won't be able
You
to.
wouldn't warm up at all.
No, you lived with me forever. Do you
I
not
mean, yeah,
remember?
you didn't warm up much, that's for sure.
No, I didn't warm up. I
Yeah.
would do 10 minutes on the Stairmaster
Yeah,
and then
guys,
just go.
Don't listen. Don't follow that.
Don't follow that
Yeah.
at all. Now
Yeah.
I have my routine.
Yeah,
and I
she
do my
complained
routine.
about all this pain too.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you could just warm
It was
up.
horrible. Yes. But it was like, now I'm warming up. I think that is the biggest piece of advice I want to give people is don't just go in and grab a machine and start.
Yeah,
like,
take your time on a
actually do
warm-up.
something. And if you don't know what to do, reach out and ask.
Yeah.
Either one of us is happy to give our opinion and give advice, right? We're not doctors, but we can absolutely.
I mean, we're coaches. We can give you a warm up.
Exactly.
Let's go through your list. Let me hear your list.
What was the question?
What are the things that you want to address and optimize?
Do you want me to give a list but no explanation?
You can, but I just want to hear the list because I'm going to go through mine.
Optimize your warm up. Train the exact same.
Okay.
Same exercises, same rep scheme.
Don't change your workout.
Don't change your workouts.
Yeah.
Get all your protein in.
Yeah. Okay.
Get your sleep dialed.
Yeah.
And keep taking your supplements.
Yeah.
Magnesium, sodium.
Yeah. Okay.
All these
I guess
things.
no, that makes sense. That's almost like tips, I guess. Because I would almost I'm going to answer it a little bit differently.
Okay. So that's how I interpreted that question.
No, that's good. That's like tips basically for doing that. What I would say is what are the things you need to, what are the actual things everyone needs to address for that, which is kind of similar, but I would say protein, right? So that's a big one. You have to eat. Yep. So protein's a big one. Sleep's second one. Specifically with protein, you're probably going to want to aim for around a gram of protein per pound of body weight, or even lean-ish body weight. So if you're overweight, and you're 250, 300 pounds, you don't need 250, 300 grams of protein. You could, but you could get by with less. Basically, think about the weight you're trying to go to. You could do that. Okay. So a gram per pound of body weight. Sleep, I mean, that's going to vary. I think the recommendation of 8 hours for everyone is fine, but to be honest, I think a lot of people are fine with less.
Women need more.
I think women need more. I think a lot of guys are fine on 6. That's my theory. I think a lot of guys are fine with 6. Now, if you feel like crap and you're not recovering, you probably need more.
However, sometimes you could sleep too much and feel like crap. We do that all the time.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's for me,
Today
honestly, I think
great.
7 is on the money
7
for me.
is nice.
7's on the money. 8's too much. And then, so yeah, protein, sleep, and then regarding the actual training, the effort. Specifically, proximity to failure. How close are you taking most, not necessarily all, but most of your sets to failure? How close are you? If they're easy and you're like, ow, that really burns, I'm going to stop now. You're not for sure getting the most out of it. Now, you might be stimulating enough, but would you rather be a maybe or a for sure? I know for sure when I'm leaving my workouts that I'm I did what I needed to do to stimulate the muscle to preserve it. I know, because I went past the point of where it was comfortable, or where it stopped being comfortable.
Yeah.
So you have to go past that point. Get 1 to 2, 3 reps away from failure, on average in that range for most of your training sets. And then the other thing that you can do as well is I would agree with you as far as a tip, but you don't need to address this, is it doesn't really matter what you do for training. So you could change it, you can not change it. Just make sure you're doing resistance. You have to do resistance training.
Yep.
And then the other thing is if you are someone who uses steroids or hormones, if you use those are going to help a lot. And if you don't use those, you're going to be in a situation where you have to be even more locked in. You can't slip as much or be as sloppy as, say, someone who's taking drugs. You know what I mean? So if you're not taking hormones exogenously, you're going to have to really be dialed in on nutrition and your protein, dialed in on your lifestyle stuff like sleep, and make sure your training is dialed in as well. Because I think that's how you get a lot of people that are maybe not as locked in with those things. And you're like, yeah, you got pretty good genetics and you take a bunch of steroids. So it's like, that is a real reality.
But
for sure.
a lot of people that take PEDs are locked in.
Yeah,
because that's an
sure.
extra factor of like, oh, I'm already taking this.
Yeah,
so
mentally,
now,
psychologically,
right? It's like,
right?
I don't want to waste the cycle.
Yeah, that's a big one too, for sure. Yeah.
Anyways, that's it.
Cool. We're done.
Okay. Tell them.
You want to sign off?
No, I don't know how to do it.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thanks so much for watching the video or listening if you're on Spotify or Apple. Make sure you're subscribing, leave a review, drop a comment below with your favorite part or the part you hated the most, and I will argue with you all day.
For free.
For free. I'm not going to do that. I might. Bait me in. I might do it. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Bye.